I'm back. That's right. Yeehaw. Episode 3 of the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. And we're pretty excited to talk about it. We were like biting our tongues before we started the podcast because I think we were going to talk about everything right before we started and we'd have nothing left over. But welcome to the Star Wars Reporter podcast. Thank you for joining us. I'll start off by introducing my lovely co-host, Trooper Todd.
I've never been referred to as lovely before, so thank you, Steve.
I thought sexy would get me in trouble with HR again, so I thought I'll go with lovely.
You're probably onto something there.
And of course, me, I'm not going to do a close-up because this is as much as you want to see from far away.
Eye candy for the ladies, Steve. Come on.
I know, it's crazy. For those of you that are in the chat, feel free to post your questions, your comments, your observations, and join in the conversation.
And your thoughts, what do you think of episode 3 of Obi-Wan Kenobi?
Yeah. Favorite parts, and we're going to go over it all today. Before we get started,
fine-tooth comb.
Yeah, before we get started, make sure that you hit that like button and subscribe to us. It helps us out. And of course, check us out for the latest news in Star Wars at StarWarsReporter.com. So, yeah. I've been looking forward to this. I have like a million notes with doctor style handwriting that
I love how you take notes. I love how you take notes, Steve. Like that's so good. I should take notes, but I'm just too busy watching the episode. Like that the cliffhanger that set up in episode 2, the ending with Vader's eyes shooting open, that connection they made, right? Like, ooh, I was waiting for this episode to start so much. And actually, it released early on Wednesday. I don't know if you noticed that, but for me, it released really early.
Did again. Okay.
Yeah, so it was really early in the day. So I was able to watch it like right after work. It's like, I jumped on there and took that ride.
If I don't write things down, I'll remember half of everything that goes on. Because while we're talking, I'll look and I'm like, oh yeah, I wrote that down. So in the different parts. So episode 3, there was a lot for them to do better after the first and second episode, which is pretty awesome. And so I'll just start off, Todd. What did you think?
As I said last week, Steve, that so far this series has been my most favorite Star Wars series. Better than I've enjoyed it more than Mandalorian, and Mandalorian's awesome. But I've enjoyed this more, and I don't know why. I love the story, the intrigue. Ian McGregor's doing an amazing job. I just like where the story is going, and so this episode 3 so far to me is better than any episode of any Star Wars series, and I'm including the season finale of season 2 with Luke Skywalker. This by far was better than that, I thought.
Well, good night, everyone. I think we've I think everyone's gone crazy on this podcast, but no, I'm just kidding.
Well, and there's reasons why. There's reasons why. Again, My name is Trooper Todd. Why is my name Trooper Todd? Because I love stormtroopers. Now here, like what I'm loving so far is I've always said this before, and you look back on future past podcasts, I said, wouldn't it be great to have a stormtrooper series where it's just stormtroopers interacting? We're seeing that more and more now with a lot of series. Like we've seen it in season 1 of Mandalorian. We have the scout troopers having a conversation. So you get them personalities of the stormtroopers going on. This, when great interaction with Obi-Wan, Princess Leia, and stormtroopers riding this little caravan sort of thing, right? And I just love that interaction. Anytime I see it, there you go. Thank you, Steve.
That little thing there.
And now, now
hilarious.
There's been very little interaction with stormtroopers. You see what you saw Obi-Wan. These aren't the droids you're looking for, right? Other than that, how much interaction with stormtroopers have there been when there's been conversations, right? You had a bit of in episode of Force Awakens. We had what's her name, trapped, and she got the Daniel Craig stormtrooper to release her, right? But
Right.
on that, you
Right.
don't see a lot of that interaction where they're not being mind wiped. Where here is a situation where they're not being mind wiped.
Mhm.
I just love the interaction with stormtroopers. So I'm there. I said it, and of course, the biggest bad guy of all cinema, all cinema is Darth Vader, and it's possible. Well, it's no spoiler if you haven't watched on the story. He has a triumphant return to the screen. I know it's a small screen, but you saw Darth Vader, and not only did you see Darth Vader, we saw Darth Vader in Rogue One at his
Yeah.
badassness, right? Tell me
It
this
surprised me.
wasn't him exercising his badassness, right?
Yeah. What I liked about how you first see Vader is when Obi-Wan is having, and I love the flashbacks. Right, he's thinking about his last interaction with Anakin, where they're fighting on Mustafar and all that, and he's the whole like you were my brother, the whole bit. But at the same time, you have Vader. I like to call it like the Rambo gear up.
Yeah,
So he's like coming out, getting arms on. Where you see those scenes in those old '80s movies where they're like
yeah.
putting the knives in, doing all that. The combat, like the combat guys getting ready to
The
go in,
action sequence of getting ready. Yeah, yeah.
and that's what it is. Basically, it's like arms, legs, suit, controller, and it was so funny. And it was this part right here to me was the best part of the whole gear up scene. Was this
The helmet.
the
Yes,
helmet's going down? Look at that face. Look at his eyes.
he's mad.
Hate,
Hate,
hate.
hate. Yes, Steve. Hate. There's nothing but hate and getting back revenge. Look at that. That face says it all.
I mean, he's not even moving. Like
No.
it's not like CGI or mannequin. That's him. He's just solid. He's just there waiting. And um, this at the same time as Obi-Wan in the beginning. Again, you see lonely Obi-Wan calling out for his master to kind of
And
guide
there's
him in what's going on.
it's like he's trying to phone home and ET's not home, right? Like
Yeah, yeah,
he's
yeah.
like he's alone. Like he feels like he seems desperate. He seems alone. Like
Mm,
he's on this journey that he didn't want to be part of anyway, because now he's in danger of being discovered, and he's looking for guidance. And it's
mm,
almost like we talked about this last week, where to me it's just showing how to me he just seems so broken. And now finding
mm,
out that Anakin's alive, it's like almost pushed him over the ledge. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like he's suffering internally. It seems like
right.
there's mental scars knowing that he's failed. Like the whole entire thing he failed, but now that he's even failed more because he's still alive.
Yes, yeah. I mean, it's on top of the failure of Anakin crossing over to the dark side, the failure of losing the Republic, he failed at killing Anakin. You
So
know
it's
what I mean?
failure. Yes, he couldn't. Yeah, exactly. He didn't see it coming. As everything happened right in front of him, and he had no idea. He was totally snowed. Right? He was totally manipulated, and
Right.
he was beaten. They're all
Yeah.
beaten.
So and I like when he gets all geared up and he's all set up and he's in his little throne room. I thought that was nice. And I was watching others talking about this episode, and in the background it's all open, the window, right? He's always
Mhm.
standing. I didn't get a shot of this. He's standing by the window, and where he built his castle, it overlooks where his body burned up.
Yes,
So he's actually looking out at that area all the time, and it's fueling his anger.
fueling his anger, his hate, and his need for vengeance.
Right. Speaking of
What?
vengeance, uh, you know, I think they really get into it fast with Riva and the whole motivation, and it almost seems to me like Vader is pitting the Inquisitors against each other for favor. And you know what? He really doesn't like any of them.
He doesn't
He
care
he
about him.
actually
He
hates them.
he
From what I
has
understand in the canon, he trained them and he would beat the snot out of them all the time.
he has no care, no compassion for him. Like they're a dime a dozen. He had like he could care less, and obviously it shows. Like she tried selling this little line. Oh, Obi-Wan took out the Grand Inquisitor. He's like, no. You know what I'm saying? Like he knows what's going on. I know what you're
Mhm.
doing. Like
Right.
You're under the Sith wing. We know exactly what you're doing. You're fighting. You're grasping for power. That's all you're trying to do. So he's in on it, and he doesn't care. Like you said,
Yeah, he
he does
really
not
doesn't.
care.
He's got no respect for them. They're just pawns with abilities that he
Yeah,
needs. And
exactly. You do all
yeah,
the legwork for me. You go scout the galaxy. Find me Obi-Wan. I'll take care of him.
right. And as far as we know, they're all falling for it, right? I don't know. It was interesting when Vader shows up later on that mining planet looking for Obi-Wan. The part where he's coming in and all the Inquisitors are like putting their heads down in reverence or really fear, and that fear kind of respect combo, but
Mm-hmm.
she isn't.
No.
Her head was up. I thought that was weird. So um it'll be interesting, if we're going to have a twist where, because there's a couple parts in there I thought maybe she's faking a lot of this rage to get to Kenobi. Maybe not, like, because we're assuming that she was that youngling um when Order 66 was happening in the temple, right? And she got away. Maybe she's angry that Obi-Wan failed the Jedi or whoever, right? If Yoda was there, she'd be mad at him too. Um, but it almost seems like, I mean, I'm skipping ahead, but when they went to that underground railroad for Jedi,
Yeah.
essentially, and when she finds it and she sees all the different writings, like people are signing their names and all this kind of stuff,
And the
her
logo.
her her eyes change, like she's thinking back. It's almost like she's remembering her old self.
Yeah.
So
I,
obviously, I mean, they're not Sith. The Inquisitors aren't Sith, so
I see a dramatic character development with her where she might switch sides.
yeah, definitely.
I can see that happening, and I think that, hey, all the power to it. But I think she's going to die. I
Oh,
think I
yeah,
think I think she'll oppose Vader probably the end sort of thing, and I think she'll die. But um, yeah, like the whole thing, like I really like. Well, let's go back to like the one thing that's been bothering me lately, and I was mentioned it happened to Mandalorian. That's right, it happened in the Book of Fett when they brought the Mandalorian in. Remember, it had all the dogs, like the bulldogs, aliens. Like they're making aliens so much off of Earth animals.
yeah,
Like the driver, he looked cool, but he looked like a mole. You know what I'm saying? I
yeah.
just
Here he
thought it's
is,
yeah, it looks fantastic. Don't get me wrong, love it, but again, it just looks too humanish, not humanish, earthish. You know what I'm
Earthish.
saying?
Yeah,
Like, why is that a big giant mole? Okay, he's a
it
giant
is a
mole. Okay,
mole.
but
Yeah,
again, don't get me
on a
wrong, it looks
mining
fantastic.
planet, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
cliche.
I get it. I just wish they wouldn't. I wish they'd create something that wasn't like really Earth based. That's all. Because I've seen like a lot of dogs lately,
The
and
dogs.
now we see a mole. So I'm going, oh, okay. It's just like I just wish they weren't based off Earth animals.
No,
But I love
I
that
didn't
whole.
look into if that's a real thing in the universe, but I don't think it is.
Well, you look at any other. You look at any of the movies. You don't see any of the aliens really based off of. Well, I guess the closest thing you can think of is Walrus Man, who doesn't look
Mhm.
anything like a walrus,
A wa-
really. Right? You know what
yeah,
I'm saying?
yeah, exactly.
Hammerhead doesn't look like a hammer. You know what I'm saying?
I know. Yeah, it's
So,
so weird, but that is. Um,
but that whole entire scene where they jump on this little caravan sort of thing, and Leia jumps on. She doesn't even care, but Obi-Wan picks up the fact that, oh, it's an Imperial little
yeah,
shuttle.
there it
There you go.
is.
Thank you. Yeah,
There it
like
is.
okay. He's like, okay, well, we're in this now. Let's go. And yeah, then the whole thing, like then the funny part we were talking before we started is that they come across, the guy makes a stop and he picks up
A whole
stormtroopers.
bunch of stormtroopers.
I'm going, oh snap, right? Like here we go.
And this face here says it all, where he's
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
and I liked how, like, they're talking, and the stormtroopers, mostly the stormtroopers cross from him. You could tell, like, it's funny how sometimes you can get across what's going on under the mask, because just, I guess there's an art of how he's turning the helmet, but you can tell they're staring at them, and then they start asking questions, and I've determined that Obi-Wan is not able to lie. He is terrible from his
Terrible.
Jedi upbringing. He cannot lie on the fly. You know what I mean? Like, he can't, like,
One of
make it
my
up as he goes.
Yeah, one of my favorite things was the how. Well, what do you do on this planet? Oh, it's a long story. I don't want to get into it. we have some time. We have lots of time.
Yeah, he was like, we have a long ride ahead or
We got a
something.
long ride ahead of us. We got lots of time. Like, let's hear it, right? I thought it was hilarious, but at the same time, I thought it had the intensity to it, sort of thing. Especially when he catches Obi-Wan in the lie. So he said he called her Leia instead of Luna, and that went. You called her
A smart, observant stormtrooper, as opposed to the ones looking for the droids.
absolutely right. So that was
I
quite
really liked
clever,
it.
and even the whole thing, how he got out of it, and I thought that was a really good part too. Sorry, I look at her and it reminds me of my mother. She looks like oh, like he's talking about Padme, obviously, right? And
Yeah, yeah,
and of course, then Leia picks up that connection later on. Goes, you knew my mother, right? Like that was really a kind of a cool scene how that unraveled. I thought I really
right.
enjoyed that part.
And I always bring this up when I always say there's no other franchise that does scenery or like just kind of the surroundings better than Star Wars. When they first come to the mining planet, I just love that kind of thing. That big bulky ship and just the way that all looks. And when they're getting off and you have the lifter droid, the R5, like I don't know. That's why I'm always drawn to that mining or like the sand planets and stuff. And then
But
they're taking the walk and yeah.
But the thing is, you're right, Steve. They set up the location really, really well. You get a sense of what the planet's like just by doing that, right? Like, so you
Mhm.
buy into the planet. Okay, it's a desolate place. Obviously, it's been destroyed by the Empire, right? It's not really doesn't look like a really good, um, you know, well, it's the mining planet they said, right? So, but
Yeah.
yeah, they do a really good job. The thing is, they really do a good job to set the stage, and then of course, then you believe they're actually on a different planet, or that you believe they're in the environment they're in, and that's what they do an amazing job of.
Hmm. Right. So, uh, where do we go? So, I mean, it was all tense. You think they get away with it, and then that little, I was gonna say weasel, but the mole kind of betrays them, and they get the probe droid. I thought that was a really good scene. It was really
Oh
tense,
yeah,
right? The
it was
probe is
so
trying to
yeah.
scan his face. It was really good.
Well, first the first stormtroopers get off, right, and then they
Yes.
go to the gate, and the gates they're like a little more. I think we need to question these guys. I can't remember. Did he say that he thought they were the Jedi, or you might know?
It was the mole guy. What was his name?
Yeah,
I wrote it
I get,
down.
so the C, didn't it?
Yeah, he went up and said, "Yeah, you can hear him saying you might want to check these guys
Yeah,
out."
check these guys out. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
He didn't accuse them of being a Jedi. Just might want to check these guys out.
yeah,
And
because he says, "I picked them up." Freck is his name.
yeah,
Nice
there
name.
you go.
Yeah, he's like, "I picked them up. These strays in the road." So
And then here's a situation where now there's a confrontation with the probe droid comes down. Nice to see a probe droid again, isn't it?
it was very cool
See,
them
again,
using
again,
that.
again, they're using the stuff from the movies and they're bringing it here and just making it feel like the Star Wars universe. And that's why I like, not that there's the stormtroopers around, but then of course, then here's the situation. Then now there's a conflict. What does Obi-Wan do? Does he draw his lightsaber? No, no, he does not. He draws a
He's
blaster,
he's using an
right? Like
uncivilized weapon. Yep.
exactly. And he knows he's made. He knows he's made,
Oh
right?
yeah.
He knows. There's no doubt he knows. Okay, but again, he doesn't grab his go-to weapon because again, I think he's broken. Because he grabbed my lightsaber changes everything.
Hmm.
The new life he's kind of created, he's in hiding, sort of thing, right? And I just think he's broken. I just don't think he can grab it willingly, right?
Yeah, I think at this point, before he was hiding the fact that he's a Jedi, everyone on the planet now knows that he's on that planet. And I mean, what does he have to lose? Especially when, I think, he kills all those stormtroopers, and then him and Leia are running, and then they show up. Then there's this other skiff of stormtroopers. I'm like, but then it turns out the officer on that skiff is
The
kind
person
of
that's supposed to pick them up.
yeah. And it's funny. I remember listening to other people talking about this when him and Leia are going to that rendezvous point. He gets there and he's like, "No one's here. What's going on?"
He's so mad.
Like he doesn't even wait 2 minutes. He's like,
Hmm.
"Oh, no one's here. There's no one here. I guess we got to go." And then Leia flakes that guy down,
Well,
and they jump on it. And she's like, "Yeah, I was there, but you guys weren't there." It's like he could have waited 10 minutes.
the thing is, obviously, he's got trust issues now. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like like he's got a reason to have a little bit of trust issues. He's been burnt in the past. He trusted many people, and they got burnt, and they handed the galaxy over to the Empire, right? So I can see why he has foreshadowing, right? So I just want to talk one of the best stormtrooper deaths of all time. Like when there's one stormtrooper in the tower, and Obi-Wan blasts him, and he falls in the laser gate, and he splits in two. I thought that was great. You didn't get a picture of that? I was too bad. I love when that happened. I was laughing so hard because I thought it was a very creative way to see a stormtrooper again, where it pushes the PG-13 kind of level of things. That was
because we never back in the day, the original trilogy. You saw stormtroopers getting shot, and we all assumed and knew and everything, even as kids, those guys are dead. Well, once I stopped thinking that they were robots because I was dumb, they're probably dead. But since then, we really haven't seen a lot of that. I guess when Boba Fett showed up in The Mandalorian, and he was like using that gaffy stick and like wrecking their helmets, maybe. But in this series so far, you've had Reva cutting hands off, burning people, choking. You've had Obi-Wan shooting countless people. But that scene of the stormtrooper exploding on that fence, I mean, they're really pushing the whole Disney, you can't do that, and stuff. So we're getting that PG-13, PG-14, whatever next level.
But it's fun. It's fun. It's fun to see new ways of stormtroopers get demised. I'm all for that. Yeah,
I really do like that. Where it's kind of it's ugly where it should be ugly, because I mean they're in dire straits. I mean, what's Obi-Wan going to do? Set the stun, if there's even a stun on the blaster rifles? You know what I mean? It's like,
right.
He's got to do what he has to do. I'm kind of at the point where we've got 3 episodes of fumbly, unsure Obi-Wan. I mean, I think he needs to pull together at some point, and I hope it's not episode 6 where he pulls it together, because you know what I mean? Like, there's got to be the big finale, but I hope it's not like the last 10 minutes of the show where he's not like, do I turn my lightsaber on and stuff, and maybe Qui-Gon will come to him. It's going to happen. We're going to see either Liam Neeson, or we're going to hear Liam Neeson.
We're going to. I don't see how we can't. Cause they're hinting at it, so there's foreshadowing it so much with him trying to connect with him. And I think because I think it sounds very religious, but I think Obi-Wan's lost his way. He's lost his faith. He's lost. You know what I'm saying? I think that's why he's not connecting with. Like, even let's face it. Let's fast forward. Let's talk about. We talk about how the Inquisitors on the mining planet. We have Obi-Wan, Leia, and the new companion hiding out in that one little, pawn shop or whatever, right? And then what happens? You have the Inquisitors put their head down because, how about the entrance, the Darth Vader entrance? Like, it would have been the trailer, right? Him walking through, not showing his face yet. You show the feet, you show the cape through the sand, you show the lightsaber dangling, right? Like, that was so good. Then it shows from behind. He's walking down, and the look on Obi-Wan's face when he's looking through the gate and has the moonlight hitting his face. It's so intense. He's walking down. What does he do? He looks to the side. Well, he's not looking at Obi-Wan. You know what? Okay, what? Let's smoke him out. He force grabs somebody, brings him out, starts choking him in the air. The kid runs out. Dad. He throws the kid against the wall, and what does he do to the kid? Snaps the kid's neck. He snapped the kid. He said, "Dad."
This is that scene where he's walking, and everyone else behind the stormtroopers, the Inquisitors, they're just watching, right? Like, no one's following him.
I know, right?
Really cool.
Well, she was going to me. He's like, like the second command is like, no, stop, right? And so she stays, and then he grabs another woman. Mary grabs a woman. He keeps walking. She's dragged across the ground. Like this is where, like, we talked about, like I said, Rogue One. When Rogue One, that shuttle bay, when he was just going nuts on all the rebel soldiers, like this matched that in ferocity, the power he has, just willingly just doing whatever he wants, because who's going to stop him, right? He's trying
that shows the training where the training came from with the Inquisitors, because when we first see Reva and stuff, and she's being kind of brutal with people, and we're going to do this to this person, and they're using the same tactic, because I forget who was saying it. Was it the Grand Inquisitor about that's the Jedi's way? Like, they can't help but do what they do. So they start hurting people, and they always reveal themselves because they can't help
They
but
can't help
not
it.
help. So Vader's like, okay, he's here somewhere, and then he starts, going through like a madman.
And what's Obi do? He
Yeah,
runs.
he runs.
Right?
He
He didn't
runs.
draw his lightsaber. Like that's what I'm saying. He's doing so. Ian McGregor is just doing
Ewan
so
McGregor, yeah.
well, just showing how, like, the look on his face, his eyes again. He doesn't have to say a word. Just look at his face, his reality. Like, he's selling it. Like, I keep
Yeah,
saying, he's broken. He's damaged. And he runs. He doesn't. He
right.
didn't jump out there and help people. He ran.
Yeah, that must be the. I'm assuming it would be maybe the first time he saw Anakin in this outfit, because
Mhm.
last he left him. See, this is the thing that's confusing, and I could be wrong, but it's like in episode 3 of the movies, so Revenge of the Sith, he's become Darth Vader, and from what I can remember, he is, this like Ewan McGregor, sorry, Obi-Wan knows he's now taken on Darth Vader. He saw the holovid of him rise, Darth
But
Vader, and all this kind of
never heard
stuff.
his name though. Never heard his name.
I'm sure he did. I'm sure
I
he
don't
did
think so.
because he knew. So I thought that was weird, where then they've kind of switched it up to where then Riva reveals to him that who Anakin is, and that's fine. I just thought it was weird, but his eyes would be like, oh, because he must be wondering, when I last left him, he's pretty burned.
Yeah.
So like, how is he?
Oh,
And
now
then he's in this suit, which I think I pointed this out before. Like, people walking around in armored suits all the time is normal style and fashion for that universe, but no one dressed like him. Like, there's Mandalorians, there's like different pilots, and they're all pretty normal. But he's like this 6'8", 6'9" monster now,
well, that's
right?
exactly. Tell me he didn't look like scary as hell, right? Like, he's intimidating. Like, you
I
know what
mean,
I'm
they
saying?
purposely made his legs long. They made his arms longer
Yeah.
than when he was Anakin. Yeah,
He's a
he's
walking
very
terror.
scary.
And like, this is what I'm going, like, like I said it earlier, like the greatest cinematic villain of all time, and there he is. Here he is now in action, doing his worst he possibly could to innocent people, trying to smoke out his
Like
target.
it was just wild.
And,
It was. I didn't expect that. I didn't think they were going to do the Rogue One thing.
yeah. Well, the
With
thing
the
is, and the thing, neither did I, but what a pleasant surprise! Like, just
yes,
the show, like, we never, again, the trilogy, we never really got to see Vader flex. Here he's flexing, right?
mm,
He's popping out all the muscles, right? And that's what I like to see, an opportunity to see them. Like, we never got to see really Luke flex. We got to see Luke flex at the season 2 finale of Mandalorian. Now, I'm saying that it's so nice, these opportunities where they can expand on the stories,
yeah,
and we get to watch these characters flex.
right. Well, you know what? Our time was a different time where I meant like the fighting with the lightsabers.
Yeah,
I know people make fun nowadays about in A New Hope, it's two old men fighting
yeah,
with each other in the hallway, and it's like, come on, back in the day Hollywood had no idea about the Chinese um, um, what do you call it, like
yes,
harness fighting and all that kind of stuff that they were doing, like the stuff that they're using now in the Matrix, what they use in the prequels, which was CGI or like the wire rope or the
yeah.
wire stuff, and they really incorporated a lot of this, like the Chinese, like the
Fighting
Chinese
styles,
movie
techniques. Yes,
styles. Yeah.
absolutely.
Um, so I look at it where, yeah, they do have that opportunity, and I never make fun of it, because back then kendo was what they were kind of using, was very like, ooh, it's this Japanese sport, and this is basically what they were using was
Yeah,
like kendo, and it's fine. But what they're able to do now, especially when we see the fight that we see, he's not Obi-Wan from the prequels doing the flips and the fancy footwork. He's more Obi-Wan A New Hope in
yeah,
the fight that's coming up.
yeah. Exactly, right. Like, and so, so he runs. Of course, the whole thing. I think Vader knew he was right away. I think his intention was to get him to run, so he get him by himself,
Mhm.
because he knew where
Flush him out.
Obi-Wan ran. Who was right there? He's He was right there, right? And he knew exactly where he was.
That whole scene of him going after Obi-Wan, did that not feel like Michael Myers or Jason? Because it was like he's running like,
Yeah.
the lone girl at the end, and then
Yeah.
she looks back, and then Michael Myers
Well,
or Jason's walking. He was doing the same thing.
well,
Obi-Wan's running, Vader's
the
walking.
good part was, Vader lights his lightsaber. Obi-Wan grabs his lightsaber. What does he do? Runs,
He
right?
runs.
Right. So Darth Vader put his lightsaber away, and then what? Then he didn't run, didn't fly. He just gradually walked, and then
He was just
boom, here I
walking.
am again. I know exactly where you go. He said, "I'm in your head, dude. You're done."
I thought it was. I thought that was kind of amusing. I can't wait to see the behind the scenes on this because of all the influences. Like we might be completely wrong, or we might be like, oh, it was an homage to this or homage to this and stuff. I just thought it was funny, and I'm probably
Yeah.
far off from what they were trying to do, but it
Well,
looked funny.
it had a similar type feeling for sure because Darth Vader wasn't running after him; he was slowly pursuing.
So what'd you
Right?
think of the fight? Right. So I got some pictures of the fight. Like I mean, it was.
Dude, I look at the lighting. Like I'm looking to me, I'm looking technically, right? So like
Mhm,
compared to the original trilogy, even compared to the prequels, like the sequel trilogy, the light. Look at the lightsaber lighting up the scenes, right?
yeah.
You see when the lightsabers come together. What it's not red on Darth Vader. It's not red. It's not blue on Obi-Wan. What color? It's purple because red and blue together make purple.
Right.
I loved it. Like just how good it looked. Here's the thing is Vader's toying with them. One hand,
Well,
like
he's
Empire
using one
Strikes Back.
hand. Yeah, he's
Empire
using
Strikes
one
Back.
hand.
One hand on Luke, right? And because Obi-Wan looks so lost, doesn't he? He looks
Yeah.
lost.
I mean, here especially, like, I mean, Obi-Wan was an amazing lightsaber fighter. Obviously because he beat Anakin back in the day, but
Hmm.
I mean, he's really struggling. And Vader in Star Wars Rebels does the same thing to Ezra and Kanan, one hand, one hand. And he actually uses his second hand at one point to grab Ezra. So he deflects and he actually grabs the arm, which I thought was interesting. I think he even picks up Ezra at some point by his hand, which I thought was really interesting. But he is definitely
Toying.
disrespecting him here.
Absolutely, that's exactly what he's doing, and you can see Obi-Wan shaking, like his fighting. It's like it's his first time holding a lightsaber. Quite frankly, he looked like freaking Finn grabbing the lightsaber at the end of episode 7, right? Right,
Hey,
Force
Finn really
Awakens.
tried his best, didn't
I
he?
know Finn tried his best, but
He got that pose
Obi-Wan,
perfectly, and then that was it.
yeah, Obi-Wan, he's struggling. He was struggling. But again, that's why I love this series. I really love this arc for this character of Obi-Wan, just showing how much he's lost,
Hmm.
how much he's suffering. Like he can't even handle himself. Like you said, I think when you talk about, he bested Anakin back in Revenge of the Sith. Did he best him, or was Anakin just overconfident and just blind with rage?
Well, I
You know what I'm
mean,
saying?
there was that too, but a win is a win, right?
A
So
win is a win. There's one issue I have with this episode. One issue I have with this episode, and that's when Vader lights the ground on fire, which is awesome. And he's burning. He sucks Obi-Wan in and starts burning him. Right? Like,
yeah.
yeah, that I love this part. Love this part. And
So
then
where
so
is it? I think I got it. So there's that. Where is it? Like, oh, it didn't load. I had a picture of him right in the flames. Darn, it
right.
didn't
Oh,
load.
he's there. He's in the flames right there. I can see him. He's
But
in the
I had a
flames.
close up of his face.
Oh, I
He's
see.
freaking out, and
So he's giving Obi-Wan a taste of his own medicine, right? Here's what it feels like to be burning, not pleasant. Although I think fire is probably better than being in lava.
right.
I would
Did you
say.
notice too when Obi-Wan stopped running? I wrote this down. I really thought it was good. He says to Vader, Obi-Wan goes, "What have you become?" And he says, "I am what you made me." So he's blaming Obi-Wan. I mean, we can get into that another time, and I think Jen, if she was here, would agree. I mean, the Jedi kind of let down Anakin. The
Yep,
Jedi are kind of responsible. I mean, you're responsible for what you do. He killed a whole bunch of kids, but I think they're kind of responsible for dropping the ball.
absolutely, absolutely. Again, it's all from a certain point of view. Anakin's point of view was, "You did this to me, right? You
Yeah,
left me for dead.
you kill Padme.
You
You
killed Pat. You
this
killed Pat. It's all your fault. All your fault." You know, you killed my children. He has no idea his kids are alive. So you know, you killed Padme, you killed my kids, you killed everything, right? And you turned Padme against me, even, right? Like all those things.
Before that, right?
Like everything.
Here is my problem with this scene here. So, he's not going to kill Obi-Wan, right? He's like, oh, I'm gonna, you know, you're not going to die. I'm going to torch you, blah blah blah. So he tells the stormtroopers to go get him, and then that officer, I forget her name, the fake or real officer that saved them, she ends up blowing up this area, and there's flames, so the stormtroopers and can't get to him. So here is the fire. So Obi-Wan's over on the side, and Vader's just watching as the lifter droid comes and picks him up and stuff. Tell me that the most powerful, I guess he's not a Jedi, the most powerful Force user or Sith in the universe, maybe, couldn't jump over that or walk through it, because Vader's suit is impervious to fire, lava, even his cape can deflect sometimes blasters. He couldn't have walked through that, jumped over it in 2 seconds. That was just kind of a weird hole for me, and I think it was just part of the story, like the intense, ooh, he got away, but I'll get him later. But they could have did it a different way that made sense, because everyone I'm talking to is like, why couldn't he have just jumped over that?
Well, no, see, I was building up to the issue with this episode. Like before that, he uses a force push to push Anakin out, and what happened to the fire? Dissipated.
Yes. Oh, right. So, that's right.
It's my one, dude. Why don't you just force push that fire away? You know what I'm saying?
Like he could do that once a day.
Physically, like technically, he could probably go and just make. He could probably split the flames and walk through,
or use the force and pick him back up and pull him over.
So that was my loophole in the episode too, which I went But again, my guess is done for a reason. I don't know what the reason is yet. Well, I'm hoping it's done for a reason, not just because.
If Vader did that, that'd be the end of the series. So I just thought, if they were going to do that, he could have gotten away a different way. Like
that's
been more intense.
I agree. That's my picking my nitpick about the series, which to me it's a loophole in the story. Like, oh, he's put out the fire. Why can't you put the fire's fire, dude? You know what I'm saying? Well, she blew up a generator. It's still fire. You know what I'm saying?
Still fire.
He lit fuel on the ground up with his lightsaber. Fuel would burn more than a generator fire. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that he should have been able to go if he really wanted to.
Yeah, he could have did that little put the fire out. He could have lifted him. Like if it was something so intense that the explosion was so big and knocked Vader and the stormtroopers over, or like scattered them, but it was only big enough to, I think one of the stormtroopers that was in front of it got knocked down.
Yeah,
but that was it.
And I agree. Yeah. Anakin, he should have been able to jump over if he wanted. He should have been able to. Like, I don't know. Did he look overly disappointed? I don't know if he looked overly disappointed.
Well, just like that T-shirt that shows all of his emotions.
Yes,
he kind of looked like a helmet looking through the fire at a robot picking Obi-Wan up.
At the end of Empire Strikes Back, when the Millennium Falcon light speeds away, he's looking out, looks back, looks out again, then walks away. He looked disappointed.
I think I even saw him kick a stone. He was walking.
You know what I'm saying? Like that looked like he's like he looked disappointed.
Yeah.
I didn't get the sense at the end of this episode that he was disappointed that the little loader droid was hauling Obi-Wan away.
Yeah, I just.
So my guess is maybe he's seeing that this might lead to tracking down some moles in the system, sort of thing.
And not the guy that drives trucks.
Not the guy that drives trucks.
Yeah,
yes,
definitely.
Not that mole. Maybe that's why it's a mole, because it's setting up a mole to come. Ooh, right. Maybe it's like a red herring. Maybe it's like subliminal messaging. Maybe that's why it's a mole. There's a mole coming up.
Of course, how they end the episode with the cliffhanger is Leia's running around that underground railroad tunnel, and she comes across Reva.
Reva.
It ends where Leia's kind of running through the tunnel, and then credits come up. And I've seen people joking like, oh, I wonder if it's going to be another slow-paced chase where you see Leia, and she's like 200 yards in front of Reva, and they're both jogging. stuff.
You can't catch her. Yes.
I just thought it was funny in that episode. It was like I thought it reminded me of the Book of Boba Fett, the
chasing the
modders,
droid.
the scooters chasing.
Oh yes,
that guy and how slow that was. I'm like, I don't know if anyone knows how to do chase scenes anymore doing these shows. But anyways, that's just kind of funny. So it'll be interesting if she does get Leia, and I'll be disappointed.
I think she has Leia. I think she's got.
I'm pretty sure. But then what's she gonna do? Bring her back to Vader? That he's gonna, you know what I mean? Like, I just
here's where the dynamic character shift might happen. I think she wants Obi-Wan for herself. I think it's no secret. So I think this is her way that she can go around Vader to hopefully snag. That's what my guess is. She won't go to Vader with Leia. She's going to try and,
because as far as she knows, she's just a senator's daughter. And this is the thing that that sometimes people forget, because even the Grand Inquisitor was giving her crap for that, saying you kidnapped the senator's daughter, because they haven't dismantled the Senate yet. That's in episode 4, like the movies and A New Hope. So they still have to kind of keep a low profile on what they're doing, or the planets will revolt, right? So they're sneakily taking power, and once they get it, like especially when they have the Death Star, that's it. So I just think, I think the other thing too that's really funny, and I don't know how they're going to explain this, it's when Leia sends that message to Ben Kenobi on the planet, and she's like, you've worked with my father in the past during the war, blah blah blah. Now they've written the story this way. Shouldn't she have said, "Hi, Obi-Wan. Remember when I was a kid and we adventured together and I saved your life and no one could catch me because I'm really fast running? Well, hey, I'm going to need your help."
See, this is the one problem that comes up. It even happened in the prequels. How come R2 and C-3PO didn't know, and how come Obi-Wan didn't?
Well, C-3PO was white, and for some reason R2 wasn't.
Yeah, so there's a lot of. I think when you go on in the past, you're playing with stuff, it's always hard to keep your things straight.
Well, right? I mean, yeah, they could have did it if they didn't include Leia in the story, which is just kind of weird. I someone that pointed out too, it's like Obi-Wan is supposed to be protecting. That's his only mission, is protect Luke. So he's protecting Luke, but he buries his lightsaber in the middle of the desert, doesn't practice any of his force skills to protect Luke. He's not training. He's just working at a fish factory. Sorry, I guess it's not really a fish factory, but you know what I mean.
Yes, yeah.
So how is he? Let's say someone showed up to get Luke.
Yeah.
So what? And that was the whole thing. The other thing, I was thinking back on it today when he told that Jedi in the desert. He was like, "Oh, it's you, Obi-Wan. Oh, we got to get together. We got to get the fight going." He's like, "Go bury your lightsaber. It's over. It's done." But then he's telling Owen he's got to be trained. So what is it? Are the Jedi over with, or does Luke need training? Like there was some clashing stuff going on where it was like, because Ben's like, "Oh, the Jedi are over, the war's over, we got to move on, go live." He says to that guy, "Go live a normal life." But he's waiting for Luke to show so he can train him. And then Owen's like, "Screw you, you're dumb." Or whatever. I'm just doing it like a kid. But there's just those little things. Like overall, like I'm loving this series. It's just like, and I think I read someplace in, was it Vanity Fair or one of those things, where they kind of said that this was where they're going to be shifting canon. And I think that's where it's like, can you not start at 4 and then kind of write? Is there no one's able to do that where they can write backwards? You know what I mean? Like it just seems like simple to not.
Who's in charge, Steve? Well, who's in charge?
So if you guys have physical copies of the movies, hang on to them, because I have a feeling they're going to change it to where Leia's message says, "Remember when we were on the planet, you saved me?" When she's telling the message.
When I'm a little girl?
Yeah, remember that time? And, thank God Reva saved me. But anyways, it's just kind of funny. It's just those little small
No,
things
no,
that I'm not a writer or talented in any way, but I'm going, and I'm not a complainer about any of these things. Like, I'm not like,
it's
oh, it shouldn't have been, this and this, the blades of grass in that planet were 2 inches, and in this stupid show, it's 4 inches. And
somebody who's high up says, "Don't worry about that."
I know.
Somebody made that call. Somebody made that call, Steve. So
Yeah.
that's the issue, right? Like you need like here you have somebody. I'm just going to throw Marvel out there, Kevin Feige, who I think they do a pretty good job of trying to make sure everything is in line and it kind of works, right? Like once you start getting like to 25 movies, it's going to be a little. You always have more challenges, and you open up a a multiverse sort of thing. It's going to be challenges for sure, but this is not 25 movies yet, Steve.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Marvel's more complicated for sure.
And we know. Just look at the sequel trilogy and how they just butchered. Like they couldn't do 3 movies concisely, right? You know what I'm saying?
It should be simple.
Should be simple.
It
But
should be
again,
simple.
if you have somebody who goes, oh, whatever, like just whatever, like somebody signs off on that, buddy.
Yeah, just be consistent. And I think they had the goal, they wanted to have certain things in it, and then they just said, well, don't, like you just said, don't worry about it. Like the having Leia in it instead of like, I'm just really confused. Like it'd be interesting because in A New Hope, when Luke's telling his uncle, like, oh, I think they were stolen. I think he belongs to someone called Obi-Wan Kenobi. Do you think that's old Ben? So it'd be good that if Obi-Wan was kind of not listening to Owen, like in the comics, and maybe would come across Luke sometimes when he was a kid, and he knew who old Ben was, and he would sometimes just talk to him about stuff. Like he didn't teach him anything, obviously.
Yeah.
But if there was that kind of familiarity with it, my feeling is that we're going to see Luke in the last 15 minutes of episode 6. And it's, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, who's that? That's old Ben.
That would have worked, but what they did is they wrote in, and I love the actress.
Leia,
it's hard.
Girl,
yeah, the little girl. It's hard to get kids to be able to act like that, I guess, or I'm assuming. But it kind of throws a wrench in things by having her there all the time. Like it's not like she's a droid. They'll just wipe her mind and she'll forget about it. And why would they? Why would you wipe someone's experiences like that, right? So it just seems so weird to me where the whole was, it should have been maybe not Luke leaving the planet and doing all the stuff with them, but having Leia in this giant adventure. It makes it weird where it's like a first time meeting, like, yo, you worked with my father, Bail in the Clone Wars.
Yeah, it changes. It changes everything now. And that's exactly right. And that's a big major loophole. I'm just trying not to focus on that too much.
No.
I'm not trying to let it ruin my viewing. Again, we can't control the people who are in power. I wish they would. Like you're right, Steve. There's so much they could do to fix that. Right, there is. I don't know why they've decided to do that.
And the whole thing too with in A New Hope, when Vader catches up with Ben, he's like, when last we met, I was the learner, now I am the master.
Yeah.
Which I assumed was when he left him on the edge of the volcano, the lava, but maybe it's going to be a second fight where Obi-Wan
has to be a second fight now.
Gets his whatever, but he's not a learner. Look at him. He's like 10 years made more like he's like powerful, right?
Well, this is some of the things we were concerned with when we talked about the Obi-Wan series and having, talking about Darth Vader coming to sing. Well, it's going to kind of ruin that whole entire line, right? And it kind of does. It kind of just makes that thing very gray in A New Hope.
Yeah,
which is a shame. But again, if you're saying like they're rewriting canon, well, that again, that's somebody making that decision. That's
it's
Kathleen
not going to
Kennedy.
ruin it for me, but I mean, we can point these things. I just want to make that clear. We can point. You remember the good old days where we can point out and critique little things and not be called Star Wars haters. We just, like even you sometimes will go, I don't, the shooting, I would have shot that differently or blah, blah, blah. And it's like, you're not saying you hate it and that director is an idiot. You're just like, meh. And we used to always do that. It's like, I wish that was red instead of blue. It's like, hater. It's like, no, I just, Just
and
my
that's
preference.
exactly, and I'm not, and I'm again, I went out and said so far I'm enjoying this in any Mandalorian
Mhm.
series,
Yeah,
my favorite one so far, and this is one of my favorite episodes, better than Luke Skywalker reappearing. Like I said that, I
you
said
yep,
that,
yep.
right? Because I'm a bad guy, right? I like the bad guys. The bad guys to
That
me make
is
the show, right? So Luke Skywalker fighting against Death Troopers, fantastic, great. But you're not fighting. Here's the baddest of the bad walking down the street torturing people. Like
they were they were really cool in this episode when they just kind of were walking together. Like they're probably like a little unit, right? A little squad, and they were walking, and dirty armor. I like the ones
the
that were
dirty armor.
dirty.
So do I. It's so good,
The
so
best
good.
armor. I like that's why the ones I hate to say this again, but the Tatooine stormtroopers, because they were dirty, because
Dirty.
they were in the field. They weren't on that nice clean Death Star. Those little
Well,
pansy stormtroopers all clean.
and see, that's why I think I like the series because to me, like 1977 was a long time ago, Steve. It's a
Hmm?
long time ago. And here they made a movie. You have Darth Vader and you have stormtroopers. Name something that had costumes that looked that good since then. Like everything gets compared to what a stormtrooper looks like. Everything gets compared to what Darth Vader looks like. Like
Yeah.
the only one I say this all the time. The only one I can compare to Darth Vader is Thanos. That's the only one that I feel that
Oh
is the only one I
yeah.
feel that ranks up to how cool he looks and just how badass he is. You know what I'm saying? So like just the overall look. So you see these guys still today, and their costumes haven't changed really since 1977. They still look fantastic.
They still look great. Yeah. And Thanos is awesome. Whenever I say that, my oldest daughter wants to punch me in the face
Well,
because Thanos killed
killed
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
And I kept telling her too until the next movie came. And I'm like, but he didn't kill him. I had to spoil it for him. Like, guess what happens in the comic? You know what I mean? Like,
They come back. They come back.
it is. And
Spoilers.
she's like, I don't care. I don't care. And it's like, he's not really, well, he didn't exist.
He didn't
He
exist.
wasn't dead.
He wasn't dead. He's just erased from existence. That's all.
Yeah.
What?
Does that feel better, honey?
Yeah. I don't feel okay, Mr. Stark.
I would do that all the time sometimes from like across the room, and I look over and it'd be like that my wife's death stare, but for my daughter, oh, she was not happy. Anyways, that's the job of a father, I've said, is to embarrass and tease their daughters. Period.
Well, I guess so. Yes.
Among other things, but
among
that's the
other
most
things,
fun.
yes. But yes, sometimes they fight. But when they get older, they fight back a bit more and get a little more. They can fight back and they can tease too, and they go, "Oh, that hurt my feelings."
I know. Then you're like, I'm kind of proud that she said that because that's pretty clever. I'm teaching her well.
Well, we have Netflix. You go to Netflix and you have profiles for everybody in the family, right? So everybody has their own viewing habits. She went through in all our streaming devices that says, "I'm old man, old man, old man, old man." Everybody else is Veronica or Aiden or but no me, old man, old man, old man.
Do you know what my picture is? It's Gaston, and I said Steve. Because I always joke that Gaston is a misunderstood hero, and he had whatever. My whole I was going to get a Gaston T-shirt made if I ever went back to Disney, but I was going to have hero written with it and see how many people either lose their minds or agree with me. I know the actor that plays Gaston would be like my best friend, but anyways, that's my dream if that ever happens.
That's your dream.
Yes. So overall, what did you think of the episode? Like
I've said earlier, my favorite Star Wars television episode to date.
Wow.
Better than Luke because it's Darth Vader. I'm sorry, Darth Vader, and Darth Vader's awesome. And
I think that's what's holding the episode, the series together. It is Vader interaction. Yeah, you're right.
And this Obi-Wan breaking down, like it's gonna be interesting. I'm waiting for. I'm with you. I think Qui-Gon will make an appearance this series. I think it's a well kept secret. How can it not? If it ends without hearing him or seeing him, don't you think you're going to be a little bit disappointed?
Well, they kept Mark Hamill or the whole Luke Skywalker in that episode at the end of The Mandalorian a secret for a year.
They kept Luke Skywalker a secret
for a year.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
Luke Skywalker. No, I'm sorry. Qui-Gon's cool, but Luke's like Qui-Gon's here. Luke Skywalker's. Oh, sorry, my hand's like Like
it's
up
you
here.
Can't go high enough.
You can't go high enough, right? Like compared to Qui-Gon's great, sure. There'll be people really happy, but when you saw Luke, much different, much different. But yeah,
I hope we see him and not just hear him though. It'd be nice.
I imagine we would see him. I just can't see us not seeing him.
Right, if they did it, because he's got to come to him and help him, teach him or help him.
There's gonna be something to help him get over. Like obviously, I think that's going to happen. It's like he's going to believe. He's going to have something's got to happen. He's going to have a story arc where he's going to change, and he has to do something that's going to make him believe. And
I think he's going to be the one, to give him that Rocky speech. That Rocky's wife in Rocky 3, tells him to pull together, and then next scene is dun, 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 and he starts doing what Apollo Creed is telling him to do, and that's what's going to happen. And I think Obi-Wan just needed. It's like a child that's gone through something bad. They just need that parent to talk to because who is he going to spill his guts to? Because he's in hiding. He's going to go talk to the local barkeep and be like, I used to be a Jedi. And then everyone was like, he can't talk to anyone. And he's cut off and he's not speaking to Yoda so
he's not speaking to anybody.
It's going to be a big cry moment. I hope that Ewan McGregor really chews it up and just balls his head off.
So far, he's slaying. Like, I don't think he interacts with anybody. I don't think he talks to anybody, right? You look at those episodes of the Fish episode when he wanted to say something to the foreman who's cheating people. He didn't say a word, right?
I know, but you just wait. So I hope it happens soon. I hope because we have 3 more episodes.
Yes, episode 5.
Episode 5. This last one was 39 minutes. Or was it 39 minutes?
No, it was more than 39 minutes. Well, I was like 15 minutes into it and it said like another 31. No, it's including the full credits, right? So it does the full credits after every episode. So it's a good, I think it's a good 41 minutes, I'd say.
Okay. All right.
That's what I love the fact there's no time limit. Just let it run. Tell a story.
Yeah, it's not always like 1 hour or half an hour. It's like all these series they're doing now are like they're all over the place.
Yeah, they tell us it could be 25. I've seen some were like not Star Wars, but some are 20. Other stuff I've watched, some are 20, some are 45. Just whatever it takes to tell a story, right? So But I'm looking forward to 4. I don't think I don't know what's going to happen next. But I'm looking forward to seeing it.
How are they going to follow up with this now? I bet you we'll see a lot of Darth Vader being angry and punching out Inquisitors, and Obi-Wan recovering and learning more about what's actually going on with the rebellion, because he's not been involved in the rebellion. So,
is a rebellion even? The rebellion doesn't even exist yet, does it?
Well, it's been happening, right? So, what do you call that?
Because Leia doesn't know anything about the rebellion, right?
Well, like, 5 years before A New Hope was Rogue One.
Right.
No. It was Rogue One was at the same time, because what happens is Rogue One goes right into New Hope up with them, right?
Right. Yeah.
So, it's not, but it's got to be around.
Well, they're not talking about it. I don't know where's Rebels fit in. I don't know where Rebels fits in.
Well, that one officer that saved them, I think she was an officer, but she just realized, like she said that, right? She was doing the wrong things. I think she was kind of telling him, there's people, we're doing these things, like they're helping Jedi escape. And she's kind of talking about there's people that help. And I think those people are going to become
the rebels. Yes, that's
the rebels.
Yeah, I agree.
So, but anyways,
I'm looking forward to the next one. I don't know what's going to happen. Like I said, I see a character arc coming up with Reva. Is her name Reva?
Yes,
sorry,
Reva.
Yes. I see a character arc coming with her. I think that she'll have a redemption arc.
Yes, that's what it's looking like.
You can't have 2 bad guys.
Yeah, I know. It's only one bad guy.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks everyone for listening. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, check us out on social media, which is Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And thanks, Todd, for talking all this nerd stuff with me tonight.
Well, thank you very much, Steve. I love hanging out with you and talking. I just feel like we're little kids again, 5 years old after watching Star Wars, just sharing all this. It's just so cool that it's like 45 years later and we're still talking Star Wars, dude.
I know. That's a good thing about Star Wars. All right.
Absolutely.
Have a good night, everyone. May the Force be with you.